Today we have updates on A Quiet Place Day 1, a new A24 horror flick coming from a familiar duo, Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare, Nosferatu, and Scream 7. Now let's get into it. Hello and welcome back to the Killjoy Jake YouTube channel. Before we talk updates, I want to first thank the wonderful patrons that support this page. If it wasn't for the list of names scrolling up your screen right now, I would not be able to upload as frequently as I do, and I'd likely be working at like a McDonald's somewhere, so thank you so much to everyone who keeps me in business. I just added new perks to the Jason and Freddy tiers where you can control an entire new series I'm starting on this page called Horror Hot Takes. Sign up for my Patreon now by clicking on the link in the description below or by pressing the join button on this page. Thank you all again for watching. Now let's get into the updates. Before I say anything analytical about the new A Quiet Place Day 1 trailer, literally just skip it. Do not watch this unless you want the film spoiled, because I definitely know how the third act is going to go based on what I saw here. I'll admit I haven't been following the marketing for this film all that closely, but I feel like this new trailer just showed me exactly what's going to happen during the climax, based on some of my own theories. Anyways, let's talk about the elements that don't feel so spoilery. I haven't talked much about this film, but after my most recent rewatch of the previous franchise entries, I am getting a bit excited to see it this week. The film's cast is my biggest draw to the film, featuring Lupita Nyong'o from her dual role in Us, Joseph Quinn, our new favorite Stranger Things character, and Alex Wolff from Hereditary. Hopefully the dude is a better driver in this movie, sheesh. Michael Sarnowski directs, who you might recognize from the Nicolas Cage thriller Pig that I've yet to see. The Splattercast guys recommend it though, so it must be a banger. As the film's subtitle suggests, we are back to the first day of the quiet apocalypse to see how things shook out in New York City. The new trailer gives me a bunch of ideas of how it's going to connect to the main storyline, as Jimon Hansu reprises his character from the last movie. If you've seen the trailer, you might have other ideas of what I'm talking about as well. The biggest thing from this final trailer is that it showcases Eddie Munson risking his life to save a cat, which I can relate to. As a proud cat dad, I don't care how noisy they are, I'm saving my babies in this situation. My expectations aren't set too high for this flick, likely because I found the sequel to be a minor step down from the original. Lack of continuity aside, part 2 still manages to be just as tense as the original, building suspense well, even if the characters don't hit those same emotional beats. I'm hoping Day 1 can pick up the slack there. Speaking of A Quiet Place, the writers of the original film are back with a new horror flick coming from A24 called Heretic. Even though it steals the subtitle from the original Exorcist sequel, it sounds like it's a completely different film. The trailer just came out this morning and it's giving me some Saw vibes with religious and supernatural undertones. The Saw parallels run deep here, as we have an old man running a potentially dangerous game for missionaries he clearly looks down upon. They even used the same song from the Saw X trailer here called The Air That I Breathe by the Hollies. Bang in tune, but it's already getting tough to defend this one with the same pastiche argument. I'm hoping this new flick finds its own unique footing, as Beck and Woods need a hit. I loved A Quiet Place, but since then, writers Scott Beck and Brian Woods haven't really impressed me. Their dinosaur epic, 65, turned out to be a major dud, as it was advertised as the horror version of Jurassic Park, but ended up being a confused sci-fi slog. Their other most recent film, The Boogeyman, was also one of the most bland Stephen King adaptations I've ever seen. You could tell they took a short story and did everything they could to expand it into a feature, but it unfortunately didn't land. It also featured a creature design that looked almost exactly like the Quiet Place monsters. I don't know, that just comes off as a bit lazy to me. I'm going into their new film on November 15th of this year with caution, as I was super excited for 65 and was let down immensely. I'm hoping that's not the case here. A24 usually does no wrong unless we're talking about Crystal Lake. That's a whole different story, my friends. After Bambi the Reckoning dropping this fall, the next installment in the Twisted Childhood universe will be Peter Pan's Neverland Nightmare. Today we just got the first poster that shows off some of our disgusting looking characters. I mean, seriously, ugh. The new film comes from director Scott Jeffrey, who you might recognize from Blood and Honey 2 as Christopher Robin. He's also a producer from Jagged Edge Productions. Talk about multifaceted. The film is about Wendy Darling, our final girl this time around, attempting to rescue her younger brother Michael from the clutches clutches of the evil Peter Pan before he can take him to Neverland. Also, Tinkerbell is a drug addict in this version of the story, so if you didn't think it was twisted enough, well, it's probably the most messed up movie from this group so far. I've been trying to avoid talking about this one because let's just say I know more about it than most news outlets do, but what I will say about the film is that it's definitely not what you'd expect from the same guys that put out Blood and Honey. It has a much darker tone about it that I feel is going to come across as unexpected. You might notice the red van at the bottom left of the poster, which gives me some Black Phone vibes. I'm looking forward to this one, releasing sometime late this year after Bambi the Reckoning, of course. We can't forget about that one. All of these movies are of course building up to Poonaverse Monsters Assemble, which has been promised to arrive sometime in 2025. I can't wait to see how insane the TCU gets by then, or how abstract public domain horror in general has become. We got a lot of weird ones on the horizon, folks. If Terrifier 3 is too scary of a Christmas movie for your kids this holiday season, take them to Nosferatu instead. Kidding, of course. The fourth feature from director Robert Eggers arrives December 25th of this year, and we just got the new trailer a few days ago. His reimagining of the classic horror film is looking to capture the spirit of what came before it with an all-star cast. That cast features Willem Dafoe, Nicholas Hoult, Lily Rose Depp, Emma Corrin, Aaron Taylor Johnson, Ralph Ineson, and Bill Skarsgård as Count Orlok himself. Thankfully, this trailer didn't show too much of the beast besides backshots. That probably sounded gross out of context. I am blown away by the trailer just as I expected. I can't think of a better match made in heaven than Robert Eggers reimagining Nosferatu. If you're unfamiliar with Eggers' work, he basically took the whole I was born in the wrong generation thing and turned it into art house cinema. All three of his films thus far, The Witch, The Lighthouse, and The Northman, have been bangers, fixating on a certain time period and the horrors that come with it. I've really enjoyed a lot of his work and I'm expecting this film to be no different. Hell, this might end up being my favorite from his entire catalog, although I will say it's going to be tough to top The Lighthouse. That film has an undeniable vibe about it that I simply can't get enough of. You're fond of me, lobster, aren't ye? What's a new Scream movie without the iconic Ghostface voice? Roger L. Jackson recently announced he would return to the 7th entry, thank God. Here's the clip.
Oh, yeah, I go with Lee, number 7, because it means I'm still working.
This should come as no surprise to franchise fans who have heard his sinister voice through the phone in 6 movies now, but it seems as if he's already in talks or has maybe signed a contract by the looks of it. It's nice to add another cast member to the very short list at the moment that only includes Neve Campbell and Roger so far. I'm sure Courtney Cox will be confirmed soon here, and hopefully Patrick Dempsey and Hayden Panettiere. I'd hate to see them absent from the next installment despite their potentially busy schedules. Since we're talking about the voice of Ghostface here, I'd like to bring up the most recent Game Rant article that discusses turning a legacy character into a killer this time around. While I love the idea as it would be something undeniably fresh, I can't see any of the characters we've discussed so far turning to the dark side. Like, why would Sid's husband start murdering people after years on the force trying to correct crime? Same goes with Kirby now, as she's an FBI agent. I think the fans would riot if they made Sydney or Gale a killer too, even though Gale is certainly the most likely slasher out of the 4. She can be super selfish and might do anything she can for good book sales. That doesn't really seem to be a problem for her anymore though. Did you guys see the size of her New York apartment? My girl's making bank. You get that bag, Miss Weathers. We will likely get a new Ghostface killer in Scream 7, or Stu Macher will return to the delight of a small section of the fan base.
There are dozens of us. Dozens!
I mean, at least some people will be happy with that, right? Matthew Lillard is having an insane career comeback right now, so I wouldn't be surprised if he ended up surviving multiple stab wounds and a freaking TV to the dome. Oh god, please no. Before we wrap up today's video, I'd like to ask you to please subscribe to my new gaming channel, GullGotha. I have some new videos going up there this week that I'm really excited to share with you all. Help me reach my goal of 1,000 subscribers there before the end of the summer too. Thank you to everyone who has already subscribed. Also, I'm starting a new series on this page called Horror Hot Takes, where I watch a past horror movie and give my hot take on it. I love giving movie updates to look at the future of horror, but I feel it's important to have a series on this page that can also look back. This series is that that, and the first episode just came out yesterday on last year's Megan. These videos will likely go up when we just don't have too many updates to discuss. Go give it a watch if you can and see these videos early by supporting me on Patreon at the Jason and Freddy tier. Freddy tier members even get to suggest movies I cover there. Check out that new video and please consider supporting this page on Patreon by clicking on the link in the description or by pressing the join button on this page. What do you guys think about today's horror movie updates? Which one had you the most excited? Leave me something about it in the comments below. Thank you all again for watching, and as always, don't forget to kill it out there, y'all.